The Chiefs have picked up their revenge win after losing the Super Rugby final last season. They're beating the Blues 25-14 in Auckland, where, funny enough, where the Super Rugby final last year was played, very much a yellow card in that late second half changed the game. What looked like it was going to be a tight Blues victory, and a well-deserved one too. The Chiefs, in the last 20 minutes or so, able to come through and get the win to start their Super Rugby season off on a positive note. I'm Nick from Nickn'detail, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Blues Chiefs game, which took place in Auckland last Saturday night. So, let's get into it. That is right, the Chiefs, who have lost the last two Super Rugby finals, and including losing last year's one to the Blues in Auckland, have very much got that revenge win to start their Super Rugby season on top of the table. They're beating the Blues in a tight, entertaining game, 25-14 in Auckland. What looked like to be a Blues win very much changed in the last 20 minutes thanks to a late Blues yellow card. The Chiefs able to come through and score a couple of quick tries and get that 25-14 win, as I said, to go top of the Super Rugby Civic table after the opening round of the season. So, what are my thoughts on this game? Honestly, this was such a great game to watch. It looked like it was going to be a Blues victory, but also, in fact, you couldn't really tell how this game was really going to play out. It was just that close throughout the whole match, even up to that late second half moment, as I've said a few times already. Honestly, both teams looked good. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're always going to have that round one rust. It's just inevitable in any sport you play. The first game of the season, you're not always going to be at your best, but both these teams, very much like most of the teams in the Super Rugby opening round, choosing to bench their international players, or at least some of them anyway, maybe because of protocol, where of course you have to rest a couple of your players very much over a certain, Super Rugby round period because it's, it's part of the rules. So we saw that for the opening round. It's very much a good time to do it, particularly when there always is that round one rust where teams just aren't quite at their best. But despite that, this was still such a close game. The Blues looked good. They looked like they started off very, very well. In fact, actually looked like, as I said, they were going to go on to win the game in a very close margin. But the Chiefs, very fair play to them, were able to stay in touching distance, unlike, of course, that Super Rugby final last year where the Blues absolutely wiped the floor with them. And it was very tricky conditions as well. It was very wet, made the ball very hard to play, just made the grip levels terrible. But that's what made it a really great game, I believe, is that because of how slippery the conditions were, the teams were able to stay close together and just play their own expansive style of rugby that made it very entertaining to watch. Honestly, that first round of rugby just in general was so good to watch. It's probably the best form of rugby I've seen, at least from my personal opinion, for a while. And that's great. I feel like Super Rugby are heading on the right track in terms of getting the entertainment levels up early on, particularly with the new rules, but also just how good these games have been in the first round of the season. Whether that continues or not is going to be another thing. But as I said, despite that, this was a great game, and I think fair play to the Chiefs for coming out in that last, 20 minutes with the Blues down to 14 men and able to get that well-deserved victory. And like I said, what was tricky conditions for them. Also, notable mention, and he actually is going to get a mention anyway, my star player, Leroy Carter on debut for the Chiefs. A 25-year-old winger who was part of the All Black Sevens setup. In fact, was actually at the recent Paris Olympics with the All Black Sevens in that disappointing campaign for them, making his debut on the right wing for the Chiefs with regular winger Emoni Naura on the bench. He was an absolute standout. A couple of tries for him, 25 years of age, recently just played NPC with the Bay of Plenty, and man, did he look very good. I think a great pickup for the Chiefs to snap him out of the All Black Sevens setup. A team that had very much got some great talent coming through their system, and like I said, what a great performance for him. And to score those couple of tries, just looked explosive, looked very good. I think the Chiefs have got another good winger on their hands. As I said, they've already got Emoni Naura as well on their books. I think there's going to be tough competition between those two this season for that starting 14 jersey, but also that could be the option to move them around, possibly to fit them both in, because they're both just such top talented wingers. Don't be surprised if Leroy Carter, if he continues playing like he is, that the All Blacks even get a potential mention of him in their future tests, particularly with the call to the test window coming up in June. Don't be surprised if Leroy Carter's name gets mentioned as a potential All Black winger in the coming years, and even potentially the coming months if he keeps playing this well. So here's very much my star player. But that's going to be it for me. What a great game this was to watch. Obviously, Blues very much were the favourites coming into it, particularly how they played against the Chiefs in the final last year. But like I said, the game, how so close it was, that yellow card just changed the game. It always makes you wonder, what happens if there wasn't that yellow card? Will the Blues hang on? It's always a shoulda, woulda, coulda. hindsight's a great thing. And honestly, fair play to the Chiefs. They got the job done. They did very well in those tricky conditions, and particularly with that yellow card, that man down to be able to exploit the Blues' holes in that back line. Their wing play was superb, and to get the win, to start their season off with a win, I think is great for them, and particularly with their next match against also the Crusaders, very much a team that, of course, are also sitting behind them, in the table as well. That shall be a great game to watch. I'm looking forward to that one, but also particularly how these two teams have started their seasons, very much probably coming in as underdogs, I guess you could say, as well. I think this should be an interesting matchup. What could be a potential top of the table clash going into the further rounds of the Super Rugby Pacific. It should be a great watch, but still, what a great game it was between the Blues and the Chiefs. A great entertaining game to sum up what was a great first round of Super Rugby. That's going to be it for me, and until next time, I'll see you later.